All right, guys, it's Monday morning, and I want to ramble just for a little bit about my thoughts about Anahiem 1 and the start of the 2024 Supercross season. I want to start off with something super generalized. The track, guys, I thought it was kind of lame. I thought it made for some pretty bad racing. I thought most of the racing was pretty boring. It was just kind of some follow the leader stuff. There wasn't a whole lot of separation, and there wasn't a whole lot of anybody really gaining time on anybody else, really, except for the whoop sections as normal. Obviously, I'm a biased East Coast person, but I loved the start time, the 7:30 start time. Although it is kind of weird that you could turn the race on at 7:30 and the first actual race didn't kick off until after 8 o'clock. But whatever, it's still better than 10 o'clock. This was also Beta's Supercross debut. It did not go well with them not getting a bike into the main event. I'm going to go over details of that because there just isn't much out there. We're not being told anything. So I'm going to make a completely separate video on that, but it was not a good night. Jet Lawrence did what we all expected him to do. However, he showed that there are some weaknesses there. He had a bobble in his heat, and he didn't really pull that far away from Jason Anderson and Chase Sexton in his main, which gives me some hope that we're going to see this guy beat some this year. As far as Anderson, kind of looked like a renewed, rejuvenated Anderson. So hopefully he stays in form all year as well. Sexton third, I think he did exactly what he needed to do, which was not really put that KTM on the ground all night and just have a solid race. We know that Anahiem 1 is always a really kind of an outlier, and the people we see win there and the things we see happen there don't usually translate to the rest of the season. So I think Sexton is in a great position. Probably my biggest surprise, pleasant surprise, was Cooper Webb. After watching him at the end of SMX last year and watching him at Paris, I thought, okay, this guy's probably got a foot out the door. But he seemed like an entirely different rider. And if he wouldn't have taken his trip to Indonesia over that little tabletop, then I mean, he would have had a heck of a night. I think he still ended up sixth. Eli Tomac was a little disappointing, but he's finished far worse than Anahiem back in his Kawasaki days and still been a contender in the title. So he's been off a long time. Most of these other guys haven't, so we got to cut him some slack. Malcolm Stewart, I don't know. I would have liked to see a little bit more out of him as well, but what can you do? I thought Plessinger and Ferrandis were both quietly awesome in fifth and sixth place. They actually said AP had the fastest sectional time through the whoops of anybody all night. They both looked absolutely fantastic. Roxon, I looked down, he was running 13th, and I was like, what's going on? Somebody said he went down at the beginning of the race, so that is a bummer as well. And then Prado. Prado was another one we were kind of watching, and I think he did the only thing he needed to do as well. So hopefully he makes a decision to come over and race full time because we want him in the U.S. racing. And the 250 class was fun too. So Max Volan looked like a completely different rider. He looked faster, more aggressive than he did on the KTM. And then Julian Beaumier on the KTM looked like he was, a genius pickup from Futures last year and is going to do well on that KTM. Levi Kitchen looked good. Jordan Smith looked good. And it was so refreshing to see RJ Hampshire, pull a good start, take the lead, and just win the race. It was, when you think of watching RJ, you think that, like, okay, he's crashed 3 times, and he's had to work his way back up and pass people, and he's got plastics hanging off his bike or whatever, but wasn't the case. It was really nice to just see him dial it in and have a smooth race and take the win. Fun fact, I believe somebody said that RJ Hampshire is in his 11th season of racing the 250 class. Is that right? Yes, I just double checked. Roto Moto posted this over on X. He said this is the 11th year of RJ running the 250 class. And to put that into perspective, Ricky Carmichael's entire career was only 11 years. So pretty interesting there. Speaking of Ricky Carmichael, he got super sick and ended up in the hospital. And he showed us that video over on IG. Stewart stepped in. He wasn't bad, but he fumbled over his words a little bit. I really think we need to see Weege in the booth. I think he's the best out there right now. I think most of you guys would agree. But either way, first week's over. We're headed to San Fran next week, and hopefully it goes better for Beta, and hopefully somebody beats Jet